great to be with you this evening. Charity, thank you for sharing your story. That was absolutely amazing. It was the first time I'd heard her share that. So pretty incredible to see all the Lord has done in the last year. A line that stands out in Emily's story is, I don't know how you're doing this, but okay. And how we're doing it is because of all of you. I feel so much just gratitude every year. This is the 7th year that I've been a part of this event, either emceeing or speaking at the event, which is totally wild to me that this is the 7th year. But there was a pivotal moment 4 years ago. I was emceeing the event. It was at Upper East in Kenosha. Who was there? Anybody? Yes. Some of you are there. And the next day, I flew out with Roger, my infant at the time, and was going to go get certified in sonography because at the time, Steve and I weren't the directors yet. I was on the board, and as a board, we were working really hard to try to launch our marketing to abortion-minded women. And this was kind of the last piece we needed that sonography piece, and so I was going out to do that, bringing Roger. I was excited because we were really wanting to get this going, but also feeling nervous because if any of you have ever traveled with an infant, you know it's challenging. So started out great. Here we are, looking happy, the start of the trip. It went pretty good until we got to Las Vegas, that's where the training was, and then you had to wait in a line for the rental car shuttle to the place where you get the rental car. It was the longest line the world has ever seen. It was so long. Roger was over it, and so he is crying, he's hungry. So I'm pulling a suitcase, pushing a stroller, holding a baby that's hungry and tired. And so I was just feeling completely overwhelmed, alone, exhausted. Get to the shuttle, nobody helps me. Get to the rental car place, nobody helps me. There's no gentleman in Vegas, okay? This is what I learned. Finally, get to our car, get everything inside it. I just gotten in the driver's seat and Steve calls. And I just lost it. I mean, it was ugly crying, I'm telling you. And we exchanged words. Not really exchanged. I said words is what really happened. Just saying, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Our life is so busy. We don't need to be doing this. And the thing that I really wanted to do in that moment was just book the next flight back to Kenosha, go back to our life, and just forget that we had this wild idea. And Steve just said, he's so steady, which is exactly what I need. He just said, okay, I want you to just drive to the place where you're going tonight. Just get some sleep. And then just take it one day at a time from there. And that's exactly what I did. But every year when this event comes around, I remember that moment because it was a key moment where I just wanted to quit. And I just look back over the last year, every single year, and I'm just in awe. I'm in awe of what God has done. I'm amazed to see that number. And to hear the stories, it's incredible what God can do and what God is doing. And so it was a pivotal time for us. And since that crucial moment in 2021, when we really jumped in with both feet, a few months later, we became the co-directors. That also we thought was temporary, but not so temporary. But really, there have been a lot of eye-openers since that time. But I'm going to talk about two specifically tonight. And the first one will not be a surprise to you, and that is that abortion is far darker than we think it is. And our current laws are what has actually allowed it to get to that place. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. But abortion is our society's version of child sacrifice. It's widely accepted, widely practiced. And the moment that we all hoped and prayed for was the Roe overturn, which happened in 2022. But since that time, annual abortion rates have actually gone up. But what the Roe overturn has been great, actually, to show is that a lot of our supposedly pro-life legislators, and even some of the leadership of pro-life organizations, really don't seem to hate abortion as much as they say they do. Our laws in every state still in this nation are unjust. They don't give equal protection to preborn babies, which results in situations like you heard tonight with Charity, where people actually are telling women that it might be a good idea for them to abort their baby. It's unconscionable that that is happening, and that needs to change. More than 1 million abortions were provided in the US in 2023, which is the highest number in over a decade. But researchers actually agree that the true number is much higher than this, because this number is only counting the abortions that happened within the formal healthcare system. And there's many, many more that occur. It's very easy to go online, order abortion pills. They come from overseas, go straight to the home. So the number is actually far higher, but that's the recorded number. And of these, 63% were medication abortions, which is up from 53% in 2020. That means 63% of the time, there's no abortion provider. The abortion provider is, well, it's the child's mother taking the pills at home, or someone is forcing her to take those pills. So we need to understand how the abortion industry has actually shifted things, seeing kind of what Roe is happening, and then even cutting out that abortion provider. So the question is, why are well over 1 million women every year seeking out abortions in the United States of America, where there's never been more opportunity, ever, in the history of the world? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And the truth is that 96% of the time, so for 985,000 babies, abortions are happening for elective reasons. This may come as a surprise, but it is the truth. The things we've been trying for the last 50 years to bring down the numbers, they are simply not working. And the satanic abortion industry continues to grow and thrive, while those on the side of life seem to struggle for a strategy to stop it. At events like this, it is difficult to wrap our minds around the millions of babies that are being murdered in our country. And the sheer number, 3,500 babies were aborted in our country today, and will be again tomorrow, and will be again the next day. It may surprise you to know that there isn't anywhere in this country that preborn human life is protected under the law. Even in states that supposedly have bans, it's perfectly legal right now in all those states for a woman to order abortion pills, ship them to her home, and take those pills. I believe if we're going to be successful in ending abortion, we need to think biblically about this as believers. We need to remember that an airplane that's flying just 1 degree off course is going to end up somewhere entirely different than their intended destination. So if our destination is the abolition of abortion, we cannot use unjust and unbiblical means to get there. It simply won't work, and it hasn't worked. We are nowhere near our intended target with the current pro-life strategy. The second eye-opener since that moment in 2021 was the low standards within the pregnancy help movement. And those low standards appeared in several areas. The first is that the pregnancy help centers have been given the label by the abortion industry as being fake clinics. And I think you heard tonight why I take issue with that. Our clinics are anything but fake. But the reason that our movement as a whole has been branded with that label is actually understandable, because there are many pregnancy help clinics that don't operate at even close to acceptable medical standards. Now, this is not a critique of the people that work within the movement that have incredible hearts and passion. But it is a critique that oftentimes as Christians, we kind of feel like good intentions is enough. But if we actually want to be truly impactful, we need more than that. And something that we found that was a bit disturbing to us is that a lot of the movement was addressing that accusation seemed questionable to us. And this brings me to number 2. What we began to hear from many in the movement is that in order to be professional, so in order to ditch that fake clinics label, we should just kind of ease off about being too intense about the gospel stuff. Instead, it's like, well, if you want to pray for him, that's okay, but like nothing else. And this I couldn't compute it. Now, what I'm not saying is that every time there's an appointment, we have to say XYZ. No. We want to be led by the Holy Spirit in those conversations. We want our staff to be able to be sensitive to the Lord and how he's prompting in those conversations. But the very last thing that we want to do is minimize or downplay the very thing that actually can change the trajectory of a person's life. We are explicitly Christian organizations, funded entirely by Christian donors. And as Christians, we believe that the only true and lasting hope is found in repentance and submission to Christ as Lord. So how could we be downplaying or outright abandoning the single greatest hope for the clients that we serve? The third problem we began to see is that the solo pregnancy clinic model is at best extremely inefficient. When you only have 2 or 3 staff members, you're gonna have people doing a lot of things that they're really not gifted to do. And that's gonna result in your donor dollars being used in less than an ideal manner. And last, we realized that a lot of clinics, including our clinic in 2021, really operate in maintenance mode, which is the kiss of death in the business world. An organization is either growing or it's dying. Organizations in maintenance mode have a difficult time being able to attract top talent to their company because top performers want to work at organizations that are going somewhere. We weren't able to attract the type of person that we needed because our vision was too small, and the cycle simply repeated itself. I saw this post on X this week. I'll let you read it. And this is the story of my life, just to say. And our team has to live in this reality all the time. So, sorry about that, guys. So since 2021, we have been working to gradually, just year over year, begin to take ground in all the different areas I've mentioned. And as we grew, we've just been adding talented individuals who are fully in line with our mission. So here's a look at our AFS Lake Michigan team. There's 2 slides worth. And if you know any of these individuals, you've heard from some of them already tonight, you know that they are absolutely sold out for the Lord, and they're absolutely exceptional at the work they do. We are so blessed to have this team. When every initiative, without fail, is harder than we think it's gonna be, the Alliance team just rolls up their sleeves, they go to the Lord for strength and wisdom, and they jump in and they make it happen. It's always remarkable. Our 2030 vision is that AFS would be the national leader in the pregnancy help movement, that we would have 30 locations in 15 states, and that we will have helped advance the abolition of abortion in multiple states by being the leading influence to the pro-life movement. We are poised to be a major part of the solution by opening and acquiring clinics under one trusted, quality, God-fearing brand, and boldly speaking life into a culture of death. And this region, the Lake Michigan region, as you've already heard tonight, it's our flagship model. So as we're looking to expand, this is the area that we're pointing to and saying, let's assemble a team, let's find a passionate base of supporters and build something like what is here. Because people are looking to hear saying, we want that in our area. So it's of the utmost importance to us that Lake Michigan remains not just as great as it is now, but that the ministry continues to improve year over year, that we continue to make inroads into the community in partnership with the local church always, and further our impact to truly see what's possible when we work in unity. In your programs tonight are some graphs like these examples that show the growth of the last 4 years in our priority metrics. So if you like to see the numbers and things like that, some of them are in your programs. You can also pick up a 2024 annual report. There's even more in there. If you didn't receive one of those in the mail, or if you would like to share them with others, please do. You are our best advertisers because your network will have confidence in ministries that you're confident to invest into. You'll also see in the annual report, they look like this, if you need to grab some before you go, that we're looking to add 4 new locations this year. And 2 of them are in the Lake Michigan region, in this region. The first is Zion, Illinois, which just opened this past Wednesday. And yes, we're thrilled about that. We have Abby Snyder, who is the new nurse manager for our Zion location and our mobile clinic in Milwaukee. So very excited about that. Today was, day 2, so we're just getting going there. And you can go to our social media and check out pictures and all that. But the way that the Lord provided this building, I wish I had enough time to tell all these stories, because there's another clinic in Zion owned by Christians, and they are only operating 1 day a week. So they're allowing us to share the space. It was really cost effective, like just an amazing God thing how we were able to get this and move in so quickly for a really reasonable amount. So he's always doing things like that. The second is Milwaukee, which that's the kind of gray pin on there because we don't have a location yet. We're not open yet with a physical location in Milwaukee, but we desperately need a building. We need to be in Milwaukee. It actually the reason why is just we know we're getting so many marketing hits from women who are planning to have abortions in the Milwaukee area. And we have our mobile clinic up there. So right now, those are getting scheduled onto our mobile. But the show rate for the mobile is not great. So our mobile clinic is awesome for bringing women on that are going into Planned Parenthood. It has been so amazing being out front and working for that. But the actual ads and people booking appointments, they just don't show as well. So we know that there's this need. We know that these women are finding our ad, but they're not coming nearly as well as they do to our physical clinic locations. So we feel an intense urgency to get open up there. We are looking for a building. We are doing a capital campaign up in that area. So if you have connections to people in the Milwaukee area, please connect them to us because we want to get open up there as soon as possible. So while we continue to do that frontlines work, our vision for the future is that the law would inform the conscience of our nation to such a degree that when women come into our clinics and they're unexpectedly pregnant, abortion wouldn't even be something on their radar. We can jump straight to how we can serve them and help them to be the best mom they can possibly be. That's our hope for the future. To this end, while our frontline staff labors to do the rewarding but also often heartbreaking work that they do day after day, one of my main focuses is to be aiding in efforts to actually work to change the law in red states across the country where we could have equal protection. And the only reason we don't is because not enough Christians are currently demanding it. As soon as that changes, we will begin to see abortion being abolished in one state after another, with the law actually functioning as a true deterrent to abortion, as it's meant to do. I'm going to show a couple video clips of post-abortive women who share their own testimony of what a law of equal protection would have meant for them. One is Abby Johnson, who used to work for Planned Parenthood, but came out of that industry and now labors to end abortion. The other is our own Casey Hunter, the nurse manager of our Kenosha and Racine locations. She's absolutely awesome at reaching the abortion-determined women with truth and just loving them. So let's hear what they have to say.
I have had 2 abortions of my own. And I have to say that if I would have known that if in my state, the state of Texas, if there would have been a potential penalty for me, if I would have known that having an abortion could have potentially come against me in a crime, in the state of a crime, or that there could have been some kind of penalty against me, I could have gone to jail, I could have been held liable for murder, I would have never had an abortion, ever. And if I wouldn't have ever had that first abortion, I would have never worked at Planned Parenthood. The majority of people who work in the abortion industry, over 70%, have had abortions themselves. They are recruiting these abortion clinic workers from the women who have abortions at their own facilities. If I had never had that first abortion, I would have never, ever walked into an abortion clinic. I wouldn't have ever thought that it was acceptable to work at an abortion clinic. If I wouldn't have worked at an abortion clinic, I wouldn't have the souls of 22,000 babies pressing on my conscience each and every day. And if I wouldn't have worked at that facility, I wouldn't have gone on to have my second abortion. Our actions have consequences, and they should have consequences. but we are not doing the unborn justice, and we're not doing their mothers justice when we allow them to walk into abortion facilities and take the lives of their children. We are telling women that abortion is normal, and we are allowing them to go on to make a decision, a singular decision that could haunt them for the rest of their lives. We must do better, and these women deserve better, and certainly their preborn children deserve better.
Are telling legislators that equal protection for babies is somehow hateful toward women. More and more post-abortive women are telling a different story.
I grew up in a Christian home, loved the Lord, thought abortion was evil, found myself kind of towards the end of high school just hanging out with the wrong crowd and making bad decisions, and ended up pregnant. And many people in my life, I'm not going to name names, but wanted me to have an abortion. And granted, I made my own decision, so I don't want to blame other people for my choices. But I took what I thought would be the easy way out of my situation, even though I knew it was wrong. So I chose to have an abortion. I hate what I chose. I know it was wrong. I'm supposed to love the Lord, and how can he possibly love me now for what I've done? I've done the worst possible thing you can imagine. It's amazing to know that, we're all born sinners. We all make mistakes. We all sin. But Jesus came and covered it all with his blood, and we have hope now. We have, he has atoned for that.
So as a post-abortive mother, would you advocate for, or would you agree with not only making abortion illegal, but criminalizing it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it should be criminalized. I think that if it had been a criminal act, I would not have had an abortion.
Wow. The law told Casey this was okay and did nothing to stop her. But even in these states that pro-life leaders say are abortion-free, the laws still tell women that it's okay and do nothing to stop them. Casey says if there had been a law against it, she wouldn't have done it. A law would have kept her from murdering her child. Isn't that what we want?
Many in the pro-life movement will tell you that they want women to have legal immunity when it comes to abortion out of compassion for women. But if we truly understand the horrors of abortion and what it does, of course, to their babies, but also to their mothers, you would see that this reasoning is the furthest thing from compassion for women. Imagine if the laws in place around abortion were also the laws when it comes to infants and toddlers, and mothers receive complete legal immunity if they want to murder their toddler. Imagine the immense burden this puts on someone in a vulnerable position. Imagine a family going through a difficult time financially or through a relational break, and all of this woman's friends and society as a whole was saying, it would make your life easier. Murder your toddler, just get rid of him. It's horrifying, right? But this is exactly what is happening with abortion. People think of it as an option because our laws have told them they can and should. Many pro-life people will say we need to change minds and hearts before we change our laws, but that is exactly backwards. Minds and hearts are changed through the means of just laws. That's one of the primary functions of the law, to act as a deterrent. Because our current laws in all 50 states say that it's perfectly legal for a woman to procure an abortion, now women in vulnerable positions are left feeling like this might be their best option, like you heard from our clients tonight. Now women in a vulnerable state are left making a really poor decision that is going to affect them for the rest of their lives because we don't have laws in place that will deter them from making that poor decision. A mother who's facing financial hardships or an abusive relationship or things like that never even considers murdering her toddler. And the reason she does not is because of just laws. She finds another way out of her situation, and there are resources to help her. The exact same should and could be the case with a woman's preborn child. I was in North Dakota recently giving testimony in a hearing for a bill of equal protection. A fellow pro-life clinic director from North Dakota thanked me for being there, said she's so personally for equal protection. She knows that it's the only way we're ever gonna see those numbers start to come down, and see an end to this. But she said, I can't give testimony in support of the bill because my board wants us to remain neutral. And this is what's happening all over the place. There are so many directors who see clearly that we're never going to see those abortion rates coming down and our culture changing without just laws, but their hands are tied because their boards are afraid to stick their necks out. So our board of directors has consistently been incredibly bold on these issues. Every time we have an opportunity, they say, someone needs to lead the way on these things. Someone needs to be bold enough to advocate for equal protection. These children and these mothers who do not know what they're doing need us advocating on their behalf. I'm grateful to our incredible board of directors for having the courage that's sorely needed at this crucial time. Will you thank them with me? Yes, thank you. The last 4 years are only the beginning. There is so much more ahead. I believe that Alliance Family Services is going to play a crucial role in abolishing abortion across this country over the next 20 years. We serve the God of the universe. This church of Christ in America is massive, and it's waking up and getting engaged like I've never seen before. And it's a beautiful thing to behold. We need to have faith that this atrocity is going to end and that we can and will be a part of ending it. We are taking ground from Planned Parenthood. We are seeing lives saved both physically and eternally. We are making an impact in politics and policy. We are encouraging and supporting other clinics in efforts to increase their effectiveness. I won't say that we're winning yet, because as you saw tonight, the numbers of abortion each year are higher than ever. But the momentum is in our favor. The tide is turning. And thanks to God, Alliance has the privilege of being right in the middle of these efforts. But we need you. We need to continue the great momentum that we have in our Lake Michigan region as the flagship model for everything else. Continuing to provide these services is not possible without your partnership. The people in this room are the reason we've seen so many lives saved, and you'll be the reason that we accomplish even more. Last year, a gentleman came to Stories of Hope and felt God calling him to give more than he ever had in the past. He felt not only to give a large gift that night, but to make that a monthly recurring gift. And I remember him saying, I don't really know if this is wise or not, but it's just what I feel prompted to do. But it's been absolutely awesome. The testimony that he would share now is that he was able to maintain that level of giving over this past year, and he's been able to see God doing miracles with his finances. So I would just encourage you, if you sense that the Lord is prompting you to give an amount that makes you nervous, just trust that he will provide for you in that. So tonight, I am inviting you to step into faith with me. You have donation cards that you will have received when you came in, so you can take those out now, fill them out. Brian wanted me to make sure to tell you if you if you go online and fill that part out, you can select the give a recurring gift option, and there is the monthly option, but he just wanted to make sure I let you know that for those of you that would like to give fortnightly, there is actually that option. So we have the fortnightly giving option available. I know you're all waiting for that. But I'll close with a story. Last spring, one typical Monday, Steve and I were at the Kenosha Clinic, and he received a frantic call from our babysitter. She couldn't find Roger, our 3-year-old at the time. She had put our baby down for a nap, and when she came back, Roger was nowhere to be found. So she spent about 15 minutes inside the house, outside the house, looking for him, shouting his name, could not find him. So she calls Steve. He immediately leaves to go home. He doesn't tell me. He doesn't want to worry me. He's sure he's going to be able to find him. So he goes home, starts looking. The neighbors get involved. They're looking all over the place, and they can't find him. He called me at the clinic. I had accidentally left my cell phone at home that day. So he called the front desk, and Christy handed me the phone. And he said, Roger's been missing for almost an hour. I'm going to call the police, and you need to come home. So I just gathered my bags, told everyone to pray, and I left numb. I remember driving home and just praying harder than I've ever prayed before. And I just remember thinking, because I didn't have my cell phone, I just remember thinking, I'm gonna get home and he's gonna be there. It's gonna be fine. But I pulled into my street, I saw 2 police cars, multiple officers, and our distraught babysitter was standing in our driveway. And my stomach just dropped, and it was the scariest moment of my life. I got out of the car, and the officer said, "Ma'am, are you his mom?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "We're calling in a K-9 unit. We're getting drones. We're gonna do everything we can to find your son." And he just said, "Can you think of where he might hide?" And I just said, "He doesn't hide. He doesn't run off. He likes to play in the front yard." So he said, "Well, I want you to take me in the house. Just look anywhere that he might be." So we go inside. I'm shouting his name, looking in various rooms. And I go into the living room, and I look under the couch. I didn't see anything. And I got up to turn, but just something said, "Just look again." So I got all the way down, looked under the couch, and I saw his foot. And I grabbed it, and he startled awake. And I pulled him out, and I'm just, of course, sobbing, held him tight. And he looked up at me and said, "Mom, I was waiting for you." I will never forget that moment, and the deeper realization than ever before of how precious children are. They are not a burden. God forbid that we think of them that way. There are children right now waiting for you. There are those without a voice waiting for you. There are mothers who are being deceived, waiting for you. There's a lost and very confused world waiting for us. The challenge with abortion is sometimes it can feel so large that we think, how could we ever do? What could we ever do? And that's exactly what the enemy wants us to think. But I just want to tell you that I have never been more in faith for what God is doing right now through Alliance. Yes, the need is still massive, and there are many battles ahead to be fought. But we can change this nation and the course of history. We can win. And by God's grace, we will live to see abortion abolished in this country. Thank you.